It's not going to happen immediately. If somebody thinks that the world will start accepting Iran and America will be friends, it's not going to happen. But India is working on it. They would have made billions of dollars every year. But herein lies the problem with Pakistan, a sickness in the mind. They will gladly suffer, but they cannot tolerate any benefit coming to India. After 9/11, when the Americans, leading an international coalition, actually went into Afghanistan, they used Pakistan. Jen friends, I'm Major Gaurav Arya and you're watching the Chanakya Dialogues English. Like this video, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to press the bell icon. Friends, you know what kind of pressure Iran is in right now. Iran has been traditionally supporting the Houthis, the Hezbollah and the Hamas. And you know what happened after 7th of October, after Hamas attacked the state of Israel. Now Gaza is getting bombarded. Rafah has started on the way of Gaza. And all this has resulted in a lot of sanctions being imposed on the Islamic Republic of Iran. And why is that? Because it is clear to the world that it is Iran that is supporting all these terror outfits. And these sanctions are not new, ladies and gentlemen. These sanctions are as old as 1979 when the Shah was deposed, or the King of Iran was deposed, and the revolution happened in Iran. Ever since, Iran has been facing sanctions after sanctions after sanctions. A country that is floating on oil and gas. A country that has so much of energy reserves that it can power at least 1/4 of the world. Iran today is in shambles. Its economy is almost broken but propped up by smuggling of fossil fuel and support from China. Iran could have done so much more, but Iran chose the path of confrontation. But now what has happened is that India has a different perspective of this entire game. You see, a lot of you will disagree and say that no, Iran is not broke, Iran is financially well off. No, it's not. There exists a parallel economy in Iran, a black economy, if I may. That is the truth of Iran. Iran cannot sell, Iran cannot buy. Iran manages. It manages. And now what is India's perspective? For a very long time, India had been chasing Pakistan. You know, asking Pakistan that we have a plan. If you allow us to pass through Pakistan, to Afghanistan, to Iran, to Central Asia, we will expand our trade footprint. And from Central Asia, it's not very far. You know, if you want to get to Eastern Europe, Ukraine is nothing but Eastern Europe. And it's not very far, maybe 1,000+ kilometers. But the problem here is that Pakistan always denied India a land route. They said no. And why did Pakistan say no? Pakistan would have benefited immensely out of this entire exercise. Pakistan would have made billions upon billions of dollars every single year, not for manufacturing anything, not for making anything, not for taking any risk, simply allowing Indian trucks and Indian trains to roll past Pakistan. They would have made billions of dollars every year. But herein lies the problem with Pakistan, a sickness in the mind of Pakistan. They will gladly suffer, but they cannot tolerate any benefit coming to India. And India said, okay. And so India created the Chabahar port. The Chabahar port is about 100 kilometers or even less than the famous Gwadar port, which China has created in Balochistan. And Balochistan is the south of Pakistan. It created a port in Gwadar. Now, Chabahar is competition to Gwadar, and Chabahar is winning the competition. And today I'm going to discuss what happened. You see, India invested close to $370 million in Chabahar. They signed a deal, and an Indian minister went all the way to Chabahar to sign this deal. I'm going to give you a little bit of details on the deal. Union Minister of Port, Shipping and Waterways and Ayush Sarbanand Sonowal visited Chabahar, Iran on 13th May 2024 to witness the signing ceremony of the long-term main contract for the development of Shahid Beheshti Port Terminal Chabahar. The contract was signed between India, Port Global Limited and Ports and Maritime Organization PMO of Iran. So, you see, this is what it is. Now, this port is growing and people are using this port. Nobody is using Gwadar. I'm talking about the Pakistani port created by the Chinese. It's only an odd Chinese submarine that comes and docks. Otherwise, you know, this Gwadar port is not being used. But Chabahar, Let me give you some data and then I'll analyze it for you. According to Mehrad Barzbash, Iran's Minister of Road Urban Development, IPGL is India Port Global Limited, which has signed the contract, by the way, will inject approximately 120 million into the port's development, so 120 million US dollars into the development of the port, alongside an additional 250 million in financing, making the contract's total value reach 370 million US dollars. IPGL assumes port operations at the end of 2018. So they started at 2018 and has since managed container traffic exceeding 90,000 TEUs, 20-foot equivalent units, and over 8.4 million tons of bulk and general cargo. Additionally, the official noted that Chabahar port facilitated shipment of 2.5 million tons of wheat and 20,000 tons of pulses from India to Afghanistan. Now, obviously, America is exceedingly upset with India, and they say that they've not named India specifically, but they said that anyone who violates sanctions or anyone who does trade with Iran risks sanctions. This is what the US has threatened. Obviously, India is not taking the threat very seriously because India will do what India will do. And the United States of America can take a walk. I, for one, am not a great Iran fan, let me tell you. I don't like Iran very much, to be honest. When I say Iran, I mean the government of Iran, not the people of Iran. I respect the people of Iran. I respect the culture of Iran. It is the government, the mad Maulvis and the mad Maulanas of Iran that I cannot understand. Right? Absolutely 100% lunatics. But India has decided, for its own geopolitical reasons, to engage with the Iranian government. And this is obviously to India's benefit. Because through the Chabahar port comes the North-South Economic Corridor, which connects Russia directly to Mumbai. And the ports in the west. It could be Gujarat, it could be Mumbai. The North-South Economic Corridor. That helps India a lot. And more than that, it gives India access to Afghanistan. Like I mentioned, India has sent thousands of tons of wheat to Afghanistan, medicines to Afghanistan. How do they send it there? Not by air. They send it through the Chabahar port. So it is possible for India to directly go to Afghanistan without first going to Pakistan. And this is what India wanted all along. That is the first part. Second is, India hopes that by streamlining of Iran over a period of 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, no, this is a long game. It's not going to happen immediately. If somebody thinks that the world will start accepting Iran and America will be friends, it's not going to happen. But India is working on it. India has massive diplomatic heft. And it has equity with Iran, it has equity with Israel, it has equity with the United States of America. And tomorrow, if India is able to at least get these countries to be civil to each other, if not friends. Bare minimum civility, ladies and gentlemen, but the Americans say that, all right, we are willing to use Chabahar port to send stuff into Afghanistan. We're willing to use the Chabahar port to send stuff to Central Asia. We're willing to use Chabahar port to send stuff to Turkey. It solves a lot of problem for a lot of people. But for India, it solves another strategic problem, the problem of Pakistan. So, ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan is valued by the West for one reason and one reason only. It is not their vaccines or their software or the cars or the televisions or the mobile phones that Pakistan is making. Because Pakistan is frankly making none of those. So why is Pakistan valued? Pakistan is valued because of its proximity to Afghanistan. That is the only reason for Pakistan to be valued. Otherwise, nobody would ask Pakistan the time of the day. You see, the Russians came to Afghanistan in 1979. They did not come to Pakistan. And Russia at that time was USSR. It was a superpower. It came to Afghanistan for whatever reasons, to prop up a government, to support the communists, whatever. It did not come to Pakistan. Nobody comes to Pakistan. When the Americans wanted to initially interfere or create a civil war situation in Afghanistan, they used Pakistan, but the target was Afghanistan. After 9/11, when the Americans, leading an international coalition, actually went into Afghanistan, they used Pakistan, but their target area was Afghanistan. It was Afghanistan where America, at that time the sole superpower of the world, stayed for 20 years. Nobody stayed in Pakistan. So when you think about all of this, you realize that it is Afghanistan that makes Pakistan important, not vice versa. Had there been no Afghanistan there, nobody would have even spoken about Pakistan. Pakistan would have been inconsequential. It still is. It still is. But for Afghanistan, which is why people actually, try to factor in Pakistan in their scheme of things. Now, what's happening here? What India is clearly trying to do, and this is my understanding, is if you look at the map, you will realize that once the world says, okay, we are going to be borderline civil to Iran. Let's start off with a little bit of trade. We're not talking about friendship because that is unlikely to happen, at least in the near period. But further on, maybe 20 years down the line, 15 years down the line, if the world starts being civil and 1 or 2 European countries actually say that, okay, let's take a step forward, let's normalize things, and let's say that we use the Chabahar port to trade with Central Asia. Let's use the Chabahar port to send supplies into Afghanistan, trade with Afghanistan. Then where does that leave Pakistan? It is this circumvention of Pakistan that India seeks. Once you circumvent Pakistan, everything is closed. Now, why is Pakistan important once again? Because in this entire region, if you see which are the countries which neighbor Afghanistan, and also have access to seaports, it's only Pakistan and Iran. And because Iran is under sanctions, the world goes to Pakistan. This is the only reason for Pakistan to be important. There is no other reason. Whatever Pakistanis may tell you, that they have the atom bomb and they are potentially a great economy, etc., all that is nonsense. All that is lies. The only reason why Pakistan is important is Afghanistan. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, about this threat from America, I think India is going to discount it. India has discounted such threats in the past. And what India wants to do, India will do. And Chabahar is not new news for the Americans. The Americans know that India has been investing in Chabahar for a very, very long time. This investment is decades old. It's not something that started day before yesterday. No. And the Americans realize that. They'll make a little bit of a noise, and then the Americans are likely to come around without too much of pressure on India. And India must also impress upon the Americans that there is no other way. They're creating the same mistake with Russia that they have created with Iran. They stopped engaging with Iran. They just stopped engaging with Iran. And look how big a headache Iran has become. The exact same thing they're doing with Russia. You're having peace summits in Switzerland. You're having peace summits in Western European capitals. But Russia is not invited to the peace summits. And what is this peace summit about? It is about the Russia-Ukraine war. So they will invite Zelensky, but they will not invite Vladimir Putin. And then they want that there should be peace. How can there be peace without engagement? You must engage with Iran, must get Iran to the negotiating table. It's very important to make Iran a normal country. Make Iran an everyday normal country. And that happens only through engagement. Once that happens, the circumvention of Pakistan would have been absolutely complete. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for the question and answers. The first question is Aditya Riti. Jayan sir, when will the third aircraft carrier get a green light for construction, since it will take a long time for developing and constructing? 100,000 ton displacement carrier, is it smart to procure from America due to increased threat of China? Thank you, sir, for your service for the country. Aditya Riti ji, thank you very much, and Jai Hind to you. I would love a 100,000 ton displacement nuclear powered aircraft carrier for India. India should partner with the US for at least 3 of these or 2 of these and make them in India. But there is no such plan. The third aircraft carrier is again likely to be 45-50,000 tons, not more. And yes, there is a sort of a green light, and they're working on the plans. It will take a long time, about slightly less than a decade if I'm not mistaken. But if you're thinking about a 100,000 ton displacement carrier, the Gerald T. Ford kind, I don't see that happening. It should. I support you there. It should, but it's not likely. Shakti Kesavan, Jai Hind Major, hope you're doing well. Yes, sir, I'm fine, Shakti ji, and Jai Hind to you too. POK is on fire, and is it our doing, or are the people of POK sick and tired of the Pakistan army? Should we get involved? Is this the perfect time to liberate POK? I don't think we should get involved. I don't think we are involved. And the people of POK will decide what is the perfect time for the liberation of POK. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to do anything at all. And the reason why people of POK are revolting is not because they are sick and tired of the Pakistan army, it's because they are sick and tired of Pakistan. And I don't blame them. Every Pakistani is sick and tired of Pakistan. It is just that they don't want Indians to troll them, which is why they show patriotism. Otherwise, every Pakistani hates Pakistan. You know why I'm saying that? They hate Pakistan simply because if they did not hate Pakistan and if they loved Pakistan, Pakistan would have been in a much, much better state. It is not just the leaders of Pakistan who have abandoned Pakistan. It is even the common people of Pakistan who have abandoned Pakistan. Kaushik SN. Jain Major. Jain Kaushik ji, with so much military intelligence the US has, why doesn't US know that they can't win over the Russians? Why are they funding a losing war? Also, why is NATO not providing troops on ground to help Ukrainians? See, there are 2-3 things. First of all, I think a lot of people in the Pentagon still suffer from the Cold War mentality. They think of Russia as the enemy, and yes, Putin's actions in the past have not exactly endeared him or Russia to the rest of the world, Crimea and now Ukraine and all that. So you can't do this stuff. While he might have a justification for invading Ukraine, but nobody can call it correct. I would not call it. You don't enter other countries, right? You don't enter other countries. And I know the justification, and I believe in that justification. And I'm saying that, yes, there was a trigger, but I'm still saying that it could have been resolved through dialogue. You see? Now, they're funding Ukraine simply because they hope that there is some sort of a permanent damage to Russia. They hope that it will come to such a pass where Russia will fracture. That is what they're hoping. They have done it in the past, by the way. So don't underestimate the Americans. When the USSR was a superpower, right? When the USSR was at the peak of its prowess, it was the Americans that shattered USSR, and USSR became 15 different countries. Ukraine was earlier part of the USSR. It was part of the Russian Federation. Today it's an independent country. But also remember that Russia is not going to back down so easily. It's impossible to defeat Russia the way the Americans are trying to do. When Russia broke, or the USSR broke into 15 countries, it was not the military. It was the economy. The economy shattered, and so did the Soviet Union. And that is the route I think America will try and take in the long run. Thank you for watching this video, ladies and gentlemen. If you like this video, press the like button, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram, Bharat Mata Ki Jai.